Hey there, and welcome to the A.D.K channel. And today, I'm Dave, and well, I'm Dave every day, but today it's just me, Dave, no Andy, and no Kirk. I'm doing an album review for the new album by Meg Myers called Tzia, is how I believe it's pronounced. Now, generally, we tend to react to or do reviews for kind of very heavy metal, death metal, hardcore, stuff like that. But occasionally a rock album or something will come our way, and as the kind of relevant rock guy on the channel, that's my kind of responsibility to kind of cover that, which is why it's just me today. Now, Meg Myers is an artist I'm not aware of, so I'm going to throw that straight out there. So before I obviously started looking at the new album, I felt it was appropriate for me to go check out Historic, so I went back and looked at Sorry from 2015 and Take Me to the Disco from 2018 to give me a little bit of a kind of idea of what the new album's going to be. So before I listened to the new album, checked out those two albums. They had very cool vibes, very kind of guitar-led alternative rock is probably the best play. Alternative rock, alternative pop, indie rock. A bit of synth pop in there as well. Quite enjoyable. And then we get to the new album. Now, the new album, she's definitely gone into a darker place. It feels very dark. For me, I could go track by track, and that would be one way of doing it. But there are 15 tracks on this album, which is the first slight red flag for me. That's a lot of songs to put in there. Now, if there's a massive variation, this is effectively a double album in a way. And in my personal opinion, it should have been probably released over a 12-month period, start of the year, end of the year, as two separate albums, maybe do 16 tracks in total or something like that. But I'll explain a little bit why I think that way at the end. But there is something there's something a little bit weird, a little bit twisted about her vocal delivery on this, and I really liked that. It does make you keep listening because she goes into this real dark place with her vocals. You can hear the vocal delivery. There's almost a theatricality of setting artists like Bjork in there, but also things like the goth rock group Birthday Massacre. Plus, you can also hear a lot of the mainstream artists, whether that be bands like artists like Pink, Katy Perry, a little bit Kate Bush in there. There's all sorts of stuff going on in there. So it means that the tracks generally across the whole album are very accessible, very easy to get into, and it means you can pick any track on the album and get into it. I mean, we kicked the album off with Children of Light. Great opener. It feels like the title track for a suspense horror film. So that's where it really, first of all, takes it into. It's not what we call a heavy track, as far as in like heavy metal, but it has a weight to it. It feels there's just a gravity to this particular track that works really well. Her voice is scary whilst also being endearing. It puts you on edge, but you want more. It's really cool. I really like Children of Light. A New Society is the second track on the album. It's a song that feels like it comes from something like a 90s soundtrack like The Craft. Eerie goth synth, sampled drums, with a great vocal delivery over the chorus that wouldn't feel out of place from an 80s pop rock group. So that's really cool. Track number 3, called Me. I initially thought this was sort of a twisted cover of I Love Rock and Roll, because it's got this dun 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 dun. So I thought when it first came in, I was like, wow, it's going to be something different on that, but it's not. It's a complete own element. It just borrows elements of that sort of idea. It has also vibes of really chilled out Marilyn Manson, but also a bit like Die So Fluid. It's a solid effort, but I did kind of start to lose interest halfway through. So it's a good song, but based on the fact that it's following up on those last two, it's a bit of a challenge. But it was good. Now, at this point, I was kind of getting this vibe of where this album was going. It was definitely kind of going, right, okay, we're getting this goth vibe. And hits, there's no difference to that. It's all been sampled drums. Easy accessible tracks, repetitive drum patterns, no major changes. However, track 5, Teenagers, this is the first time we seem to sing a guitar into the track. Brings the guitar to the front. It's a welcome break from the first 4 songs, in the sense that although the first 4 songs were great, you've got this very similar vibe to it. So this was a nice point in the album to break this one up. Her vocal delivery does remain the same from the first track to this track. This is not a bad thing. It's just very interesting vocal technique overall, and it's just the fact that you're 5 tracks into an album and you're feeling quite repetitive at this point. Now, we've got to remember this is a 15-track album. So we're only 5 tracks in, we're a third of the album in, and that's quite a long point. Now, the songs aren't, it's not like they're all like 2 minutes long either. These are fairly like 3, 4, 5 minute songs, so we are not talking short tracks. Track 6, My Mirror, lovely strumming guitar, so we've got a second guitar track in a row. Track 7, I Just Want to Touch, another guitar intro. So what we're seeing is we're getting this kind of split in tracks. We have this kind of synthy sampled, eerie first 4 or 5 tracks, and then first 4 tracks, then we've got the next 4 tracks. We're getting guitar driven stuff, again not real heavy guitars or anything like that, but they are a little bit of over driven guitar elements in there. We get to track 8, Wasted Confetti. A little bit of angst coming in there, a little bit more aggression as far as the vocal delivery on this one. Great bass thump drops. The mixing on this album is very, very good. Well worth checking out just for that alone. Track number 9 is a track called Numb, and it's a Linkin Park cover. Now, the fact that this album's 15 tracks long, I could have actually not needed this in the album. It's a good cover. It is a good cover. She's done a really good job, but I think this would have been good to just drop it as a single on its own, and not include it in the album, because the album is overly long anyway. So just drop that as a separate single on its own, like she did with Running Up the Hills, the Kate Bush song. Would have worked fine. Over His Speak, we get some distorted guitars for the first time. And it makes me want them in other songs as well. It's got a bit of a grunge vibe to the track, which I liked. It kind of takes you back to some of the earlier, like the Sorry album. Searching for the Truth is almost a Human League moving into like Gary Newman territories. It's a dark track. I quite liked that. Rise with much more of the earlier stuff. Tzia is the title track of the album. It's track 12. It's got a kind of interesting guitar loop. Staccatic drum patterns. I'll have to look to the side here, sorry, because it's my notes as well. With 15 tracks, you need to make notes. It's not actually as accessible as the other songs on the album, but it's actually well worth the listen because of the interesting time signature on it, so I liked that. Bluebird, sweet song, a little sad, good use of the string sections. And you can tell my notes were actually getting shorter and shorter per song here, because I was at track 14, Sophia 144, solid track, nice vocal melody and chorus, and track 15, 11, 11, which is the album closer, a very emotional song, and again a nice guitar melody. So overall, great track. The problem I have is the fact there's 15 songs, and a lot of these songs have got a very, very similar feel throughout them, and you get that with an album because the songs have been written in a certain style at a certain time in a certain person's place of mind. It means that good tracks are potentially going to get lost along the way, because when you release an album in its entirety and you've got 15 songs there, people are going to pick 4 or 5 that they like on a repetitive basis, and that means these other songs will get lost at the wayside. I think personally, if it had been released as 2 separate albums, it would have worked better. But there will be people that will love this for the fact it's a great album, because it is a great album. It just needs, it's just overly long at 15 songs, in my personal opinion. But if you give it the time, find the songs you really do like in there. That will hopefully, it'll give you a chance to go back to it at later dates as well. So I think that works really well. If you have the chance to maybe listen it, you'll probably pick 4 or 5 songs out, and then you'll be able to go back to the album, listen to it again, and find some more that you preferred maybe. That might be the way to approach this album. But yeah, I'm really unsure why you'd release 15-track album if you could have released that as 2 separate 7 and 8 song album. That would have made more sense personally to me. Anyway, we need to score it. So on the A.D.K channel, we use a 4-tier scoring system, which is bin it, which means it should never have been recorded. Trade it, which is it's a good album, but just not really something I'd listen to. Stream it, which is it's a good album, I like it, I'd listen to it, but probably not something I'd go and spend a lot of money on an actual physical copy for. And of course, we have buy it, which is go out, spend some money, buy the album, and thoroughly enjoy it and listen to it on repeat. Usually this is a mashup of the 3 of us that when we grade them, but today it's just myself, and I'm going to give this album a stream it. That's for me personally. Anyone that's into this kind of alternative rock pop style of music and likes a little bit of darkness, it's definitely a bite from them. But for me, it's a stream it, well worth the listen to. Definitely something I would check out on Spotify and check her out again. I do like the early albums as well, Sorry, and the Disco. I call it that. Take Me to the Disco. So I have to double check the name. Take Me to the Disco. Well worth checking those ones out as well. So Meg Myers gets a stream it from the A.D.K channel. Now, if you like this video, please do like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the video sometime very soon. Take care.